Hello there. Welcome to the podcast with me, Guy Jones, and with my good friend Elke Rosenburg. And today we're going to speak about the return of the sacred feminine. So from my perspective then, as a former soldier, as someone who's been very much living in the masculine world of men and women are completely separate, I had to acknowledge that without the feminine side, so positive, negative, electricity, magnetism, without the integration of both, you aren't a whole person. You become lopsided. And interestingly, all my injuries were on my right side. I have several major injuries, and they're all on the right side of my body, which clearly indicates now that I was living too far on the left side of the brain, the analytical, and ignoring the intuitive and creative side. So, as I say, the universe is basically one atom, pretending to be trillions, gorillions. The masculine is the left side of the brain, and that's electricity, which is where we get L for God, El, Ohim. And the feminine side is magnetism, and between the pair of them, they create gravitation, which then becomes gravity, and that's the child. So that's the sacred masculine, sacred feminine, and the holy child, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, if you prefer. So, what say you, Elke?
First of all, I'm stumbling over Jesus as usual. Mary, Joseph, child, fine.
Think of it as just an allegory, because that's what it is, really. It's an allegory.
Yes, I agree on that. So, but I think we talk about the feminine today because that Jesus and Christ is a different story. I have a slightly different opinion about it, but again, another time. So as you mentioned in the beginning, I'm on it for quite a while and I researched quite a bit. The main thing was actually to better my life, to see me as a whole person, So, and when I discovered after my illness, as you know, I've been really life-threateningly ill.
Could you please go through that again? So for anyone who hasn't seen our previous videos, could you please explain how you got to be where you are? Imagine no one's seen our videos.
Yes, I agree on that. Sorry. Yes, you are right. About 20 years ago, I have been diagnosed and with a big C and quite scary. And long story short, looking back today, it was a blessing. It sounds a bit odd, but it was a blessing because of this situation. I literally started to think differently, and the universe guided me. I can't even recall how it all fell into place to a crystal healer. And at that time, I didn't even know crystal healing existed. I have never heard about it. And so I went to this session, and that was when my clairvoyancy actually massively came back into my life. She put me on a sofa with two big crystals, raw crystals in my hand, one above, one below. And suddenly, like whoosh, big light beams came out, and far above me, built faces, and they looked down on me and started talking. And of course, I was literally paralyzed. I was, yeah. And after that, I had about 10 days later, it was brilliantly orchestrated by the universe. 10 days later, I had my appointment here in Ealing in the hospital, and they wanted to do a hysterectomy. And they woke me up and said, "Why are you here?" I said, "You are holding my file." She said, "You have nothing." I said, "Oh my God, it worked." And she said, "What?" I said, "Crystal healing." And she said, "We hear stuff like this. Get dressed, go home." So I was in a completely different dimension. This was really literally the big change for me. That was such a wonderful slap in the face. And I think it was amazing that I had this opportunity to change direction. So after that, I went to the Mind Body Spirit Festival. Met, of course, all orchestrated, in my opinion, orchestrated by the universe. Met at the college and did 2.5 years study of crystal healing and became a crystal healer myself. But what came with it, and this amazing treatment, was the clairvoyancy came back. It came back. And I suddenly saw things around people. I knew when they had an illness. I knew when they had an issue. Or one guy on the tube, he was so sad, and I asked him mentally. So you have to ask for permission if you can talk. And he said, "Yeah, I tried to tell my family I'm, gay." And so it was amazing for me to be able to do things like this. Cut the long story short, now I'm using this consciously to help people. That was baby steps, tiptoeing, and didn't even know which kind of worms I opened up, which is a can of worms. It's fantastic. I love it. Honestly, Guy, we know each other now for a while. I love what I'm capable of. I love what I'm doing. And yeah, that's where I'm now. I'm healthy. I'm fine. I have nothing. Yeah, I'm a bit.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, the world wouldn't be so cool if you weren't in it, Elke. So
yeah. So and then I started, of course, to research who am I. So and I came across the subject of female, male. I was blessed. I grew up without any religion. I never was indoctrinated by any belief system, which I now see as a huge blessing, because I don't have to push something aside. It's very hard if you are a little child and get all this in, and suddenly somebody wants to tell you something else. I never had to do that. I could absorb and weigh up. Is this true? Is this right? And on top, the blessing of my third eye open, I knew. I know what I'm seeing. It's not that I'm, using a little pen and draw it. No, I see it. And and so I came across, as you mentioned in the beginning, the left-hand side is female and the right is male. The brain is vice versa. And as you said, one is electric, one is magnetic. And without them being together, like the yin and the yang, or the polarity as such, that is polarity till the dot. And without that harmony in us, we are not complete. And in my opinion, everybody really should strive to complete themselves, because then all this suffering, all the fear mongering, all this pointing finger, like the parents do. If you don't, so you will, or the church, you end up, always this finger, that is all no need for, because there is an inner knowing. If you access as the doing or the active male, you stop for a second and listen to your inner female, boom, you're immediately in balance, so because you acknowledge the other side of you as Guy is female, and you say, okay, no, that doesn't feel right. Okay, let's, go back a step and start again. So this whole situation we are in now, it's because of that disconnection, made mainly by religion, as you know, man-made religion, as you know. And when I went back, the female always has been suppressed in one way or another. Maybe not in the, in the very beginning. I think that was the most vivid in my research was actually when religion started, so because the, let's say, beings who created a religion knew if we keep human in fear, we can harvest their energy. And
so you're speaking about the archons now, then.
The archons and harvesting loosh,
Yeah.
every single message which brings you into, I call it the turtle position, you're going into your shell. That's fear. A turtle always only does that if there is some threat around, so, and that's what humans do without being, they go into a fear mode, and you can see it in the energy field. What came up for me as well is we all have a chakra system, we all have an aura, and with this chakra system, we are literally plugging us in to the matrix. That's how we are interconnected, via a mathematic system. We are all, in the end, a mathematic shape, a sacred geometry shape. It's not the flesh. The Merkaba, which is our vehicle, is geometric. So, and we needed a system to exist in this dimension. So the chakra system has been installed and keeps us. So, but when the archons or the demiurge, however you call them, started to figure out it's the female, they started with all kinds of head things. Medieval had these high ones, and then scarves and hats, and even in the 19th century, look at all the women. August in France, or the kings in Austria, they had all these big wigs, high up. So meaning the seventh chakra and the eighth and the ninth, the higher self and the highest self, and the Christ energy, to which we come back to another time, were constantly dimmed down. And so it couldn't spark, because if you have something on it, I actually, there is a video in progress, so where it will be shown how it really works. And then on top, some very smart people came up with even damaging the female first chakra with a razor blade. So not connecting to Earth anymore, not connecting to the sky anymore. Mother Earth, Father Sky, done. We have a lot of loosh to live on. So that is how it existed the whole time. And we all gave in. There were rebellion, especially in a lot of European countries, where the females over the last century became more and more empowered and more equal. So, but that is not completed yet. And even the invasion to stop that will not stop it. It will not stop it, because I think everybody with a working brain, I repeat that, with a working brain, knows something is on the horizon. We have to shift. We have to do something about it. And my point of this whole story is actually, don't go outside. Don't go inside. There is nothing you can do. At the outside guy, we both know, is a mirror of what you are doing. So if you working with yourself, that's it. That's all what you have to do. Yeah, of course you can take the wig off or whatever you carry on the 8th or 9th chakra. That's another story. But to get the connection, repaired, well, there is nothing you can blame outside. Nothing and nobody. It is an inner work. the most important for me is work with your inner child, because that is where it has been imprinted. And in my experience, as you know, I'm a therapist now for about 18 years, I think. I never came across about a woman who has not been molested in one way or another. That includes myself. And I think we really, really have to work on that subject to go into a better place, into new earth, and into a better future. Doesn't mean we couldn't work together. We should, we have to, not just women together, even men and women together. And the most important for me is do not, in big letters, do not listen to anything anybody tells you. Listen to yourself, listen to your heart, whatever your mind, whatever you think it works. And for this reason, you do workshops, I do workshops to get people together, clear out the chakras, get rid of all this old, not needed memories anymore. And as you know, I'm able to read chakras with my hand chakras. So I'm able to take this out for people who would like to have taken it out and don't do a 20-year journey.
I can testify to that. I've had several treatments from Elke, and they are excellent. And she read my cards the first time we met, and that was interesting because almost everything she said's come true so far.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. So going back to what you were saying about the equalization of the sexes, because from my perspective, I see that feminism made sense in the beginning, but where it's gone now, it's like it's been like everything that comes out, every good thing will be infiltrated by the evildoers, and they basically then take it into the state of madness and revolution and hatred. And so I'm not a keen fan of feminism. I think that there should be another version that's not feminism. It's about equalization, so that we all become we aren't the same physically, but we should all be the same spiritually, and everyone gets a say in the matter, rather than it just being, because you don't have to be blind. I mean, if you live in Britain, as we do, you can see that our parliament is just full of a gang of liars. A male or so I suppose in one way they are equal. They're male and female and are equally lying. And I've run out of words because the word I wanted to use was a 4-letter word. But yeah, so they are they are the scum of the earth, if you ask me. But at the same time, they are us. Everyone gets the government that they deserve. I remember hearing that years ago.
Sorry to interrupt, but it sounds really odd what I'm saying now. But it was needed to get where we are now. Without that, we wouldn't develop. It's awful, because there's so much pain and suffering involved. But if you step back and you see this whole story from a different thing, that was the indicator to finally say, no, so it rolls out for the better in the end. I really believe that, again, we can do nothing outside of us, because if you vibrate as you should, like a male and a female in one, as a holistic being, you ooze that. Your frequency is sky high, honestly, sky high. Don't forget, the chakras are measured in hertz, and if you are living on the lower ones, your frequency is low. It's really low, and so that's a vortex. You hardly come out because it's a downward spiral. And everybody who awakens to male and female as one in one body, it's going up. There is nothing we can do. That's a fact. That's an energetic fact.
That's the Star of David, isn't it? Basically, the male and the female come together in equality, and they create the Star of David.
I'm sure. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sure I mentioned it before. That is my personal opinion and my channeled opinion, that even sexuality is completely misunderstood. I think I mentioned it before, because the original, that's what I channeled with my whatever I channeled. I don't know. It's a lot of beings I channel. The original was to get the genitals together and mouth to mouth and build a circle, and having they call it universal orgasm, having them at the same time. If you do Tantra, you can achieve that. And then out of the 7 chakra, there is a light beam shooting out to the universe and pulling in the energy again in both bodies, and your aura makes whoosh. That is the original meaning of sexuality. I repeat myself, but making babies is a byproduct. It is not the main reason, And a lot of people think, oh, we have to make babies. Yes, you can. That's nothing wrong with it. But that is not the reason why we have 2 genders. We have 2 genders to be aware. Both of us will be ignited in our body by being sexual. And having I call it universal orgasm, so it's to have it together and with your partner. And by the way, according to my research and what I've channeled, is everybody on the planet will experience this kind of orgasm once in their lifetime. And then you strive over and over for getting that back.
So I'm going to just take us into probably dodgy territory now, because I'm going to talk about the people that are invading our country and are taking over, because from what you've just said there, they seem to be as far away from that as possible. It seems to be about having as many babies as they can so they can take over the country, and whatever country they're in. And yet there's no equality. It doesn't appear to be any equality, and the women have to be covered up. And the reason for that is so that other Muslim men don't rape them.
Yeah, and that's
it's like that they are in the lower 3 chakras.
Yeah, but yes, I hear you, but I think even I've learned it doesn't influence my life. And I felt sorry for the women as well, because, a lot of them do not want to be in that package. But don't forget that incarnation is still a free will. And if you step back far enough, that was a decision they made as a soul. And to be fair, this doesn't matter which belief system you have. Everybody has every single second the opportunity to change their life.
And that's the thing, from as far as I can see, that religion was created to ensure that you never had a direct experience of God.
Correct.
You have to go through the imam or the priest or the vicar or the pastor to basically have them explain and absolve you of your sins. And I think that's a problem as well, because sexuality is basically linked to sin directly. So if you engage in that, then you are a sinner, and then you require absolution.
Yes.
And so it's like people, even atheists who engage in promiscuous sex. To me, the promiscuity just rings off a rebellion against the social norms, which is those people are then judged by others who consider themselves to be better, and you get this spiral of everyone's judging each other. Some people don't care, and it's just chaos, when what we should be doing is, like you say, go inside, find that center within yourself, and connect up with the universal compassion, and then for myself, like I say, open myself to that sacred feminine, which is already in with me, because I have a right side of my brain. I have an intuitive, I have a creative side. So it's already there. It's not like I'm basically, doesn't mean to say I've got to put a dress on and walk around basically calling myself Barbara. It means I'm just accessing the parts of me that are already there, that have been switched off through societal norms, and just basically joining them together. And then because I know how you don't like the biblical stuff, but I think that the encoding of certain things is quite incredible, because Jesus said, "No man shall come to the Father unless first he has become as a woman, and no woman shall come to the Father unless first she has come as a man. And no one shall enter the kingdom of heaven until first they have become a child." Meaning that the male has to access the female has to access the male, and we all have to basically let go of our prejudices and our unworthy beliefs to become the child, and then at that point we become born again, and become pure channels for the living consciousness.
But that's how we started, go through your inner child, solve that, because that was the imprint for how you developed in this lifetime, and take it from there. And again, I think a lot of people can do it themselves. When I was in this situation, I went to workshops. I've done a lot of inner work, meditation, breath work, out of body experience, and that's all good, as long as your main focus is, I want to understand myself, I want to be a better person. And I wouldn't say better, it's actually the wrong word. I want a whole person. That, I think better is wrong. I want to be a whole person, because your actions, be honest, Guy, is always you are missing something inside of you, and then you are looking outside and you blame, or you attract, either way, or you manipulate, either way. But if I'm whole, there's nothing I want except to be happy. Sorry, but that's
the way I would describe that is that I want to be the person I was supposed to be, but haven't been, because I keep getting distracted and led away, which makes me think about, do you know the story of Pinocchio? You ever heard of Pinocchio? Yeah. So he wants to be a real boy, which is accessing his inner Christ. It was written by Pinocchio was written by a Freemason, and it's all encoded in there. But he keeps failing to achieve that because he's dragged away by his friends who take him to the fairground, which is the life that we live with all the sparkly lights and flashing things and the bits that go round and round, and we're completely distracted. And then at some point you suddenly realize that your life is coming to an end and you've missed the point completely. If you're even that aware of what's happened. I mean, I grew up in a town where there wasn't a lot to do, so everyone was into drinking. And the amount of alcoholics that I've known over my lifetime is quite shocking, really. Probably more alcoholics than people I don't know who aren't alcoholics, because there was nothing else to do. And once again, no one shall enter the kingdom. No drunkard shall ever enter the kingdom of heaven, because you can't, because your body has to be alkaline to achieve that state, to be able to access the upper chakras. And one other little thing, I heard in the week something I'd never even noticed, and it's just, I slapped myself. In the movie The Matrix, because you're always talking about the Matrix, the bit where Neo is unplugged from the Matrix, every single one of those plugs is on one of his chakra points.
Of course, I know that.
I never saw that. And I'm like, oh my God, it's right there.
I knew that. First moment I've seen it, I was the movie many years ago. I was already on the path, and I said actually, there's a chakras. Yeah, and that's exactly how it is. You know how Bruce Lipton, he actually said, chakra is not a movie, it's a documentary.
But this thing, I mean, because I've been looking into a lot of Gnostic stuff recently. I know I sent you a video and it was excellent. So it's dawned on me that the Matrix is actually a Gnostic documentary, if you like, masquerading as a really exciting adventure film. Because
have you watched all of them?
I have watched all of them. The only one I really got on with them
Yeah.
was the
So
first one.
do you remember how it ends?
No, to be honest, no. I watched the third one recently, but I fell asleep through it.
Let me help you out.
Please.
The agent, I don't know, you know, this guy who
Agent
wants
Smith,
to have
yeah.
the control. When they finally decide to break all the rules and come together again and acknowledge that is all fake, and they grab their hands and say, no, you have no power over us anymore. And they leave.
Is this the one that was most recently made?
They leave together as man and woman, and the structure crumbles.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we are talking about. The connection between man and woman will, inside of us, will get us there. And I urge every one of our listeners to start with yourself. And again, if you need help, there are plenty. The universe is full of help, and Google is full of help. We can help.
So you should basically promote your business right this second. This is a product placement moment.
Yes, okay, that's what I said. We can help. So on my website, elkerosenburg.com, you will find a few things I can help with, or even Guy and I, because we are planning a workshop, male and female, and that would be promoted on my website. So in the future, please watch it, or in notes on YouTube. There are plenty of informations outside this video. So yeah.
Wonderful. So our next offering will be speaking with my lovely wife concerning her recent, well, I say recent, her awakening to spirit and her sudden explosion of clairvoyant capacities and all the mad stuff that she can do. So we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Guy. Thanks for having me. Bye.
You're welcome, and bye for now.